The Secretary General Stoltenberg, well, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was my biggest fan. He said all these presidents came in, they'd make a speech, they'd leave, and that was it. And they all owed money, and they wouldn't pay it. I came in, I made a speech, and I said, you got to pay up. They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills. You don't have a problem in Russia. We have. You don't have. You might have. You still have. Hello, everybody.
Всех приветствую.
Like the Academy Awards. Used to be. So, Vladimir, thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, come on, let's be serious. Let's be serious. NATO cannot be an alliance à la carte. It exists or it not exist. But I'm not going to spend my time comment any silly idea that comes during this electoral campaign in the US.
Well, I'm a very strong supporter of NATO. It is what helps to keep us safe, and that is so essential in this world where we've seen Putin's terrible illegal invasion of Ukraine. And actually NATO this year has got stronger, with Sweden and Finland joining. Of course we want all countries like us to spend 2%, but I think what was said was not a sensible approach.
We have a very strong defense. We're members of the EU and NATO, and of course we have a fresh defense cooperation agreement with the United States. All I can say is that election campaigns in Finland are fair and square. They are free and just. American elections are quite different. I don't deny that. I've been following them since 1989, and the rhetoric is much stronger.
We have been advocating for doing more in defence, and that means that all the NATO's members do more in defence. They invest more in defence to boost the defence industry in order to be stronger together. So I think it still is the plea for everybody to do more. And I think what the presidential candidate in America says is also something to maybe wake up some of the allies who haven't done that much.
Where do we still need to do more? Individual countries' defence spending and sending the most clear of messages, irrespective of who will lead the next American administration after this jumbo 2024 year of democratic processes, is that we are strong enough to be able to defend each other.
Putin kills his opponents. He invades free countries. This is not someone you ever want to pal around with. And you certainly don't want to give them the right to invade a friend. I am all for making NATO pay their fair share.
a lot of things are happening, and France has been very helpful. I have to say that they've been very, very helpful. But NATO's come a long way in 3 years, and it's become very powerful. I think very, very powerful, and it's become, I think, a much fairer statement in terms of the United States, because we're able to go down a little bit. We were paying 4 to 4.3% of the largest GDP ever. Nobody's ever had a GDP like we have right now, and nobody's come close. And other people were paying 1%. Some people were paying less than 1% of a very small GDP. It's not fair. And if they get attacked, we protect them, but it's not fair. I will make a long statement about NATO, talking about the fact that many countries are not paying their fair share, okay? Many of the 28, many countries are not paying, most of them, but many countries are not paying their fair share. That means we are protecting them, and they are getting all sorts of military protection and other things, and they're ripping off the United States, and they're ripping you off. I don't care. I don't want to do that. Either they pay up, including for past deficiencies, or they have to get out. And if it breaks up NATO, it breaks up NATO. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. It's so nice. A lot of spirit. We strongly support NATO. We only ask that all of the NATO members make their full and proper financial contributions to the NATO alliance, which many of them have not been doing. Many of them have not been even close.
Exactly with what they need. And then, of course, you have different ranges, short range, medium range. You need the number of countries also to get the right scale. It's not the first time that he says something along these lines, but at the same time, it's of course worrying. He is probably going to be the next candidate for his party. He might be the next president, and I think the NATO alliance is about our collective security on the principle of one for all for one. And I think especially now, with real threats also to NATO countries, it's very concerning that somebody is that important is saying these things.
Yeah. The whole basis of what NATO is about. Article 5 is what protects the NATO countries. And yes, everybody has to take its responsibility. All NATO countries have to do that, but we see all NATO countries doing it.
Frankly, I think this is exactly what Putin loves to hear. Our strength is our unity. And if we're not united, that makes us weaker. And we know that that is what Putin is looking for. So that's why we have to keep united and to keep our deterrence and to build our deterrence stronger and to show that as well.
Be the next president, and I think the NATO alliance is about our collective security on the principle of one for all for one.
Yes, I think we all signed on to the Vilnius agreement, the NATO agreement about 2%, and which says 2% is the floor, not the ceiling. So it's the minimum. And that's what we're working with. That's the obligation that we have. Every NATO country, 31, hopefully 32 countries in a short time when Sweden joins. And I think we all know how important that is. So when, at the time, President Trump could say, you're not doing your part, he cannot argue that anymore, because we have all agreed that 2% is really the minimum that we have to do for our own security. We have to take our responsibility. We have to have those budgets to make sure that NATO is strong enough that we can do the deterrence that we need.